We are doing factoring trinomials. I kind of like you to add that ax plus bx plus c. You'll see my PowerPoint. Sorry, that's supposed to be a line. I just couldn't get it. It's section 6.4. It's just general factoring for trinomials. Okay, the goal of this lesson, actually the goal of this chapter, by the end of the chapter, you should be able to solve equations in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c, meaning a quadratic equation when given a trinomial in trinomial form where a, b, and c are integers, a, b, and c. So by the end of the chapter, we should be able to solve equations like that, okay? So right now, we're just really learning to deal with parts of it. Eventually, we'll solve the equations, then we'll apply it to some real world concepts like where you're setting off the fireworks. Where can I set off the fireworks so that what is the distance that I have to place it, like a fence around, so that when it's coming down, it doesn't hurt anybody. I have to keep it fenced off. So that's something where we would use this kind of equation. All right, so now we're going to do some warm-up to begin. And hopefully the warm-up will take us right into, like, the last 10 minutes will be the new material. So this is something we call X marks the spot. I call it X marks the spot. And what I want to know is what multiplies to 39 but adds to 16? What multiplies to 39 but adds to 16? Take a minute, think about it. Okay, Melanie? 4 does not add to 39. Okay, I'm looking for two numbers that multiply to 39 but add to 16. Oliver?
13 and 3.
Right, 13 and 3. So I'm going to put those two numbers, positive 13, positive 3. Notice, they multiply to 39, but they add to 16. Okay? So, we'll do a couple more together. What multiplies to negative 12 but adds to 1? Take a minute, think about it. What multiplies to negative 12 but adds to 1? Okay, Chris, what are you coming up with?
Negative 3 and 4.
Negative 3, positive 4. Okay, negative 3 plus 4 makes positive 1. Negative 3 times 4 makes negative 12. You get the idea? Okay. Every time we're looking for the product on top, I want you to write the product on top, and down here we're looking for a sum or a difference. Okay, so what multiplies to 4 but adds to negative 4? I need somebody else, somebody I haven't heard from.
Negative 2 and negative 2.
Negative 2 times negative 2 multiplies to positive 4, and negative 2 plus negative 2 adds to negative 4. Okay, now pause the recording and do the next 3 on your own. All right, let's check our work. So if you get, okay, so negative 4, what multiplies to negative 4 adds to 0? We have a negative 2 and a positive 2. All right, if you get stuck, we're going to make a factor tower. That's 24. We'll list all the factors, 1 and 24, 2 and 12, 3 and 8, 4 and 6. Go in order, and then see if any of those add or subtract. So, Keshri, which one did you say it was?
2 and 12.
2 and 12. And since the answer is positive, what's the sign of the bigger number?
Positive.
Positive 12 and negative 2. Okay, the last one. Sorry. The last one. What do you come up with, Agam?
Not negative 3 and 14.
Negative 3, positive 14. Notice the bigger number is positive because the 11 is positive. Okay, let's try it again. Okay, what adds to 56? Sorry, multiplies to 56 but adds to 15. multiplies to 56 but adds to 15. Eric?
8 and 7.
8 and 7. Okay, try these.
All of them?
Yep, all of them. Pause the recording. All right, let's check our work. What multiplies to negative 40 and adds to negative 6? Eden?
4, negative 10.
Positive 4, negative 10. Yep, that adds to a negative 6. Next one. What multiplies to 80? Again, every time, remember, we're looking for product is up here. And sum or difference is down here. Okay, Andrea.
Negative 16 and negative 5.
Negative 16 and 5 for the second one. Okay, next one. What multiplies to negative 44 and adds to negative 20? Hovannes. Negative 44 and adds to negative 20. What did you say?
2 and negative 22.
22. 2 and negative 22. Good. Notice how it doesn't matter which side I put the 22 on. Okay, next one. What multiplies to negative 66, Oliver, and adds to 31?
33 and negative 2.
Good. And then the last one, what multiplies to negative 48? Melanie?
Negative 12 and 4.
Negative 12 and 4. How do you feel about this?
Pretty good.
You understanding it? All right. Yep. So, now don't write anything until under where it says multiply. You don't need anything where it says factoring, because this method works when C is positive or negative. So we're just going to pretend that part of it's not there. You can put like this. We can call this notes. Okay? And then you're going to write what I'm writing here. So I want you to notice, okay? I want you to notice that when we multiply this, notice the two last terms. When we add those together, what do we get? When I add those two terms, last terms together, we get a 5. And that is the middle term coefficient. So that's actually, when we take those last two terms, we will get the sum or it will be add or subtract to that middle term. I like you to write the sum or the difference. Okay? I'm going to erase my difference, but you guys know to write that, right? And when I multiply those last two terms, it gives me, it is the product of the last two terms gives me that 6. Okay? So now we're going to write in some examples. And I want you to show your work. I don't want you to add any equal signs, because this is not an equation. It's an expression. Okay? So when you write your problem, right next to it, I want you to do your X marks the spot. I'm going to take the 10, and I'm putting it up here. And notice it comes right up here. Right? We put the last term on top for the product. And then the 7 comes down here. And that is a sum. We're looking for a sum or a difference. Okay, who can tell me what multiplies to 10 and adds to 7? Agam?
5 and 2.
Positive 5, positive 5, positive 2. Now, how do we factor? We take this original trinomial. What is x squared? When I factor that, what is it? I mean, when I root it, what does it become? X. So I'm going to place an x here and an x here. And then I'm just placing these two numbers, plus 5, minus 2, plus 2. And we're factored. Okay? We're using our X marks the spot. Questions? Okay, pause the recording if you want to take notes. All right, let's move on. And let's try it a couple times. Okay. So again, I want to see for tonight, I want to see your X marks the spot. I want it ingrained in your head. After tonight, if you want to drop the X marks the spot, I'm fine for you to do that. But for at least tonight on this homework, I want to see it next to each problem, not added in later. Okay, what goes on top? 20. And please raising hands. What goes on the bottom? Abdani? 9. Okay, what two numbers? Okay, I'm going to first factor this. I know I'm going to have an x squared, so I'm placing an x and an x, right? Because I have one here and here, right? Because I have that x squared. Okay, now what multiplies to 20 and adds to 9? Go, Nathan.
4 and 5.
Positive 4, positive 5. I could write positive 5, positive 4, or I could write positive 4, positive 5. It doesn't matter. Okay, let's try it again. What multiplies, Eden, what do I put up top?
12 and negative 8.
Good. So what multiplies to positive 12 and negative 8? So I want to give other people a chance. Ethan.
6 and 2. Oh.
Positive? Negative what?
Both are negative.
Negative 6, negative 2. So what's it going to factor to?
1.
Shh. What's the variable?
Y.
Okay, so what's it going to factor to?
Y minus 2.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Y minus 2 and y minus 2.
Times the quantity.
Times the quantity of y minus 2.
Okay. Let's try that again.
Can't you, make it,
Pause it. And I want you to try the next one on your own. Okay, positive 12 goes on the top.
And negative 7 at the bottom.
Okay, and what are my two numbers?
Negative 3 and negative 4.
Okay, and so what does it factor to?
M minus 3 times the quantity of m minus 4.
And it wouldn't matter if you wrote m minus 4 times the quantity of m minus 3. Does it matter if you're doing 2 times 4 or 4 times 2? Order doesn't matter in multiplication. All right, don't worry about this. So many problems. Pause the recording for a minute. Okay, let's do number 4. Everybody work on number 4. Pause the recording and go for number 4. Now, if you start to struggle, make that factor tower. What are the factors, please? 2n, 3n, 4n, 5, no. 6, we're already up there. So do any of those pairs add or subtract to 24? I'm sorry, to 12. What adds and subtracts to 12?
Nope.
Okay, nothing does. So in that case, you've just proven it to yourself. You're going to say not factorable. Not factorable. Try not to overuse that. How did we know that? We made a factor tower and proved it to ourselves. So make sure you're making that factor tower. Now, don't worry when it says C is negative. It's the same thing. Doesn't matter. You don't need to write those notes. Okay? If C is negative, we're still using the same method. Make your X marks the spot. Negative 12 up top, positive 4. Okay? What multiplies to negative 12 but adds to positive 4? Somebody I haven't heard from. How about Alan? What multiplies to negative 12 but adds to 4?
Negative 6 and 2.
Mm-hmm. Negative 6, positive 2. Does that work? Does that add to positive 4?
Wait, negative 2 and positive 3.
Perfect. negative 2, positive 6. And so when I factor it, it's what, Alan?
X minus 2
Good. Times the quantity.
times the quantity x plus 6.
Good. You get the idea? Do you feel comfortable with this?
Yeah.
Let's advance. Let's keep going. Very easy, yep. It's one of the easiest forms of factoring. Okay. Okay, so we call this trinomial factoring, just general factoring. If you go to your list, oh my goodness. Here's our list of things we've learned. It's number 4. It's called trinomial factoring. I would like you to add when a equals 1. Trinomial factoring when a equals 1. Pause the recording. Quiz tomorrow, section 1 through 4. Can I continue?
No.
Trinomial factoring. Just in the regular form of x squared plus bx plus c. If you want, you can put the little x next to it. Okay. Basically, it's on all this that's highlighted.
Wait,
All right, so now,
can you go back to the
nope.
Yeah.
Shh. So, what we have a problem. We're looking at our chart, Keshri. You'll have to go back to that later. We have a chart. Look at my chart over there. What's the first thing we need to do? Somebody? GCF. What's the GCF?
3.
So I'm going to take the GCF, 3, and what would be left?
Second x squared
X squared
plus x
plus 12. Okay? Now, the next thing I need to do is I'm just factoring it. General factoring. I'm going to use my X marks a spot. What multiplies to 12 and adds to 7? Multiplies to 12 and adds to 7, what?
3 and 4.
3 and 4. So I bring down my GCF, and then the rest of it's going to be factored too.
Oh, x plus 4
Times the quantity,
x minus 3 or plus 3.
plus 3. And we're done. That is the answer. Next one. Even though we have higher degree polynomial to the 4th power, we're still doing the same thing. The 4 is placed up here, the negative 5 here. What multiplies to 4 but adds to negative 5? What are the factors of 4? Ethan?
1 and 4, 2 and 2.
2 and 2. Chris, what works?
Negative 1 and negative 4.
Okay. So now look when I factor, what's the square root of x to the 4th?
X to the second.
X to the 2nd. And then I have minus 1 minus 4. Okay. Am I done?
No.
No, because this is a difference of squares. So that's going to factor to 2 things that are the same, but one is plus, one is minus. The root of this is x. The root of this is 1. What does this factor to?
X plus 2 times x minus 2.
There we go. Questions? So first, we just factored it, and then we found the difference of squares. Okay, questions? Let's try 2 more. Okay, pay close attention, because this is what we do when we have 2 variables. Okay, we're still doing the same thing. The last term goes up top, the number, the coefficient, and it goes down here. What multiplies to 6 and adds to negative 5? Go, Nathan. What?
Negative 2, negative 3.
Good. Okay, so now look at how I factor this, guys. I'm making my two parentheses. What's the first variable? What's the variable in the first position of the trinomial? Okay. Oh, wait, we forgot. What did we forget to do? GCF. What's the GCF? Y what? Oh, yeah, we have one y, sorry. So then we would have y squared minus 5ay plus 6a squared. Okay. Now I'm ready to factor it. So I have y, and I'm going to break it down. Okay. What's the variable in the first position? I have a y. So in the first position of the trinomials, y. So in the first position of the binomials, it's also y. Okay? What variable is in the last position of the trinomial? A. So that goes in the last position of the binomials. Now, which variable gets the coefficient, A or Y? A. How do you know that? Because it's right next to a squared. Look at next to y squared, there's nothing. So you don't want to add a coefficient to y. These numbers here are going to go in front of the a. Minus 3a plus, minus 2a. Does that make sense how you place those two variables? Okay, last one. What multiplies to negative 12 and adds to negative 1? Don't all volunteer at once. Negative 4, positive 3. So when I factor, what's the root of x to the fourth? X squared, x squared. And then I have plus 3 minus 4. Are we done? We keep this one because it can't be broken up anymore. But this is my difference of squares, which is x plus 2 times x minus 2. And that is my final answer. Questions? Okay, that's the lesson.